Joe Gits, President and CEO of Social Media Analytics. Joe, glad to
Good
have you
morning,
back.
guys.
Social Market Analytics, I got it right this time. What's
That's all
going on
right.
in the Twitter sphere?
Twitter sphere is acting up. I didn't know that I was that I was live. So, good morning, Michigan applies to everybody. All
Okay,
right.
that's
Good
all
You
morning,
know,
right.
everyone.
you guys were talking earlier today about fantastic earnings and the stock gapping down. I think we're going to see a lot of that in the Edge report today too. So it's a continuing trend. We've seen that over the last week, where the sentiment has been crazy positive. They kill earnings, and they did a great job, and then the stock gaps down. So first of all, we have a positive bias in the market this morning.
Slightly
Um,
positive bias. Okay.
yeah, actually a pretty strong positive bias. So
Oh,
a lot of strong scores on the top 10 list, and only very few significant negative scores today. So let's go. Top four are going to be earnings plays, and so our customers have already been acting on these where possible. And number one this morning, PGI, Premier Global Services, Diversified Communications. I
whoa.
believe that's an earnings play.
That's a small one there, PGI. No trades here this morning in the pre-market, but when widespread too. Earnings last night, 22 cents versus 19 cents on 143 million versus 140 million. So be on the top, be on the bottom, and the sales guidance okay. So we'll have to see what happens with that one.
12
Yeah,
bucks. 12 bucks, man. You've had the last five highs in the session between 12 even and
wow.
12.10. Gets above there. I'm a believer. If not, resistance is still resistance. This is trade by appointment only. Traded at less than 100,000 shares yesterday. So be careful on this one.
Good one. Waste Management this
Waste
morning,
management.
WM.
Yeah.
Yes, 4.1 with very high volume.
That stock was crazy yesterday. There,
Yeah,
obviously, I think they had earnings there, 40
yeah, they did.
cents versus 45, where they actually looked like they missed, but this was one of those they missed, but they popped the stock, and it popped nicely there yesterday. Got all the way up to 43.24 before pulling back. Another one of those value plays here, Waste Management. Nice dividend, 3.5% yield, down at 42. Fantastic support. So 70, 80 cents lower. I'm itching on this one. I got a small position in my investment portfolio. I'm kind of itching to buy a little bit more of this on a pullback here. I actually might make an investment here in Waste Management.
Ah,
Excellent. Now
okay.
this is a weird one. Bob Evans. I don't know if that's an earnings play. I didn't see a whole lot on that one. You guys might know. BOBE.
Bob Evans.
Down on
I
the
think it
farm.
was. I'm trying to remember yesterday too. We had so many. We had like three, 400 major companies reporting
Yeah.
there yesterday. So, Bob Evans was in the news yesterday. Received a letter from Sandal. Says we'll evaluate offer. I don't know what that's all about actually. So there was some type of headline there yesterday, and it did pop up yesterday. Had a good pop actually. I'm just looking here at the chart when it went from what 44 bucks all the way up to 48. So something was
Yeah.
happening yesterday, and then closed 47.29. So I don't know if Bob Evans. What Brent? You know anything about that? Brent there?
Yeah, yeah. So
Report.
there was. I'm trying to go find the original offer from Sandel, but they are a firm that is looking at potentially bringing some board members on. So you know what that can
Okay.
lead to.
Yeah, a little shareholder activism here.
Ooh. Okay.
When you see that
That's
kind
what
of
it's.
move here, I mean, we're just hanging out 47.30. I mean, the kind of move you had that pop up that 48.68. I mean, I would use that as resistance. You know, the first pop up, it gets through there, maybe the $50 level. As far as trying to pick a bottom in this thing, I don't think I'd really have a bid out until the $45 level. Two lows between 44.71, 44.97. This is a kind of a tough call here.
NetScout Systems, NTCT. Technology. I think that's earnings.
Boy,
N. Which one is N?
NTCT. NetScout Systems.
TCT. We got some small little ones here today. I
yeah.
don't
What do
know this
you?
Yeah.
stock either.
Are you
Oh
getting
wow, that was really popping.
Yeah, you getting your stocks from Jake or something? I mean, these we gotta
These
pop
are.
up.
It's a weird one because then there's some big names on here too. Microsoft is on here. TI is on here. There's some. Yeah, there's some big ones on here too.
Microsoft bullish, right, on the earnings?
Yeah. Yeah, that was earnings.
Yeah,
There's Cirrus Logic is on here. CRUS.
That's popping nicely, 85 cents here in the pre-market. That's actually a big level it's trying to break out through, Joe. Look at that 21 it's getting up through.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, it's right there right now.
That was earnings last night. They blew it away. 41 cents versus
Yeah.
32 on 149 versus 143 million. Blew away the top, blew away the bottoms, up 4% the pre-market. 21's the level. That's where resistance was before. Maybe it finds a little support there, unless it's going to be one of those same story, pops to fade.
Yep.
Yeah, pre-market high in Cirrus Logic, quite a bit higher here. So somebody's already had their selling shoes on. 21.96 was the pre-market high. Have come back under the $21 level, 20.81. So 20.81, 21.96, your early parameters for this issue, Cirrus Logic. And what about Baidu had good earnings? What about Baidu?
Baidu. All right, let's pull it up. That's what we talk about every week. Yeah, I should put it on my watch list. So you can enter stocks in your watch list. And Baidu is, where is Baidu? Baidu is 2.86 this morning, very positive. 2.86. Yeah, very positive. Good volume this morning.
Hey, Joe,
and this is on a Gappers list, so people are talking about Gappers and continuing this morning in social media.
Like, Joe, do you remember, I don't want to go too far back in the week yesterday, but do you remember you reading on, like, General Motors? Because that had good earnings, was trading up strong in the pre-market. So I was just wondering if you were getting a lot of sentiment on that.
General Motors, yesterday was the 1.024 at this time.
Which is kind of weak considering how good the report was.
Yeah, and today it's a 0.453, so slightly positive, but in normal. But on the auto company vein, Ford is on the negative list this morning.
Yeah.
And as we all would expect, so Ford has a significant negative score. Hang on a second. Let me go back to the dashboard here. So Ford is number 6 on the short list, a -2 S score.
Okay, I'm also I'm interested to hear Apple. Apple, after yesterday's tremendous move here, 10-point range, kind of sitting in the middle right now, below the close. How are the Apple pickers?
I have a 1.18 positive, so not a little positive, not significantly positive. Considering when news comes out on Apple, it's normally 2, 3, 4. That's a pretty weak signal.
Okay, yeah, this is Vape Holdings.
I don't think it's off exchange.
It's off exchange. Okay.
Yeah, we won't carry that. There's some interesting names on the short list today. TCBI, Texas Capital Bank Shares. Bank of America.
Bank of America's on there.
Yeah, -2.44.
That's interesting. Bank of America. Why is Bank of America down so much today? It's down 20 cents. Is there a downgrade or something on that, Jakey?
There's
got to be something on that.
Bank of America.
There's got to be something.
I don't remember
that's down
that.
20 cents. That's a big move for Bank of America. The pre-market.
It's over fair value.
Oh, hell yeah. That's down like 1.5%. Way over fair value.
Okay.
There's got to be something on that. I'm going high.
Yeah, so that was an interesting one. That's one that caught my attention, too. I haven't had a chance to go on. Colgate-Palmolive, CL, -2.32 this morning.
Ooh, now that was the one that had earnings and hasn't done much. So we know Procter & Gamble, after its poor earnings, took a good hit here. So that's an interesting one there to follow.
And then Lululemon.
Lululemon.
Yeah, one of my favorite apparel companies of all time.
Yeah,
Lululemon.
Wow, this thing, and that's on the negative side, right?
Yeah, -2.09.
Ooh, boy.
This chart, man.
Oh, that's ugly.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it got up there, and it gives you a little bit of a bounce there early April here, and it's just drifting down, drifting down, drifting down. It looks like it wants to retest the lows from February, which was 44.36. I think that is probably going to get retested here. Whether that holds or not is the question, but that is not a good-looking chart. That's not a healthy-looking chart.
Not at all.
Yeah, that's a big -2. Fusion IO, they're a solid-state drive company, -2.02 this morning. And then some other notables on the bottom 10, but not statistically significant at this point. McDonald's, Verizon, Adobe, and Wynn Resorts.
Okay. Wynn Resorts. There's one we haven't talked about for a while. What's that chart look like? WYNN.
Turd
It's got a
Trader.
lot of consolidation too.
Turd
Trading this
Trader
one.
has a $13 billion fine for Bank of America.
That doesn't help.
Oof.
I think also you got price targets and price target moves here. Credit Suisse neutral rating reiterated, but cutting the price target to $10. So a little bit of bad news. The fines aren't good, and the price target cut doesn't help. And it's got Bank of America trading down.
How about Amazon? Amazon,
And yeah.
yeah.
On that win, we were talking about that a second ago.
Sure, let's
It
go
looks
back.
like there's a bullish MACD crossover on that one. Is what people are talking about.
Mm.
Oh.
All right.
That's
Amazon.
That's one to short. Go ahead. Bullish MACD cross.
Amazon is starting to. We just covered Amazon was at 330. Now it's at 320. This is in sell-off mode right now here in the pre-market, guys. This got up over 350 last night on this report. This is a big reversal here for Amazon, and they are rocking the
2.5.
stock.
Whew, and it's got a high sentiment score, but you're saying they're rocking it lower, right?
They're rocking the stock, man. They are rocking it right now. But maybe it's got that high sentiment score that's going to bounce back here. But I don't know. They're rocking it down there. It's just one of those that this was your classic pop to fade there. And wow, 351 last night, 319 this morning. Whew.
Yeah. And all right. What else we got this morning, guys? So that's what's happening. So there's a positive bias overall in the market.
What about
And,
Starbucks? What about Starbucks? Because their report was okay, and we're looking, and we have this whole theme going on. We're looking for pops to fade, and Starbucks trading
Yep.
up $1.28
Right.
here. It's about 30 cents off its highs from just the 9th and the 10th of April there. So I'm looking at this one. Is this a potential pop to fade here, Joe? What's sentiment?
3.6. That's really high. But there's not a lot of volume. That's the reason it didn't show up on the report this morning, because there's very, very little volume on Starbucks. So people aren't talking about it this morning. So I wouldn't put that in the strong signal category.
Okay.
So you want a high sentiment score with a high level of volume,
Gotcha.
and then a dispersion is a metric that tells you how broad the signal is. For example, Texas Capital Bank shares, we were talking about it earlier, that has a 0.73 dispersion score. That means that everybody is fading that. Waste Management, a 0.7. Cirrus Logic, 0.78. So that it's not a situation where one or two people are talking about it. There's a broad consensus that sentiment is strong. So you want to have that. And Starbucks didn't have that. And that's a good question. Let me look at that at Amazon. Because let's see if we're just talking about that.
And
Amazon doesn't have a high dispersion either.
okay, what about IBM? It had some bad earnings, and they whacked it. Now it's kind of the pause here, and now three of the last four lows right at this 190 level. Not really, Dennis. Is there any bids out there at IBM that you can see? I don't have a
Slight negative 0.33. So not a little bit negative, but not a whole lot. And less volume than normal. So there's not a lot of talk about IBM in social media right now.
8,000 at 190 in the New York buck. It's somewhat significant because it's IBM, but it's not huge. They can kind of slice through that here, and I think that could maybe hold up the price pre-market here. But 190's.
I don't know why anybody would buy that at 190. I don't know why anybody would buy 8,000 shares there.
You didn't know why anybody would buy it at 173 or 174 either, Joel. When I wanted to buy it, never forgive you for that. That one, and what was the other one? Then
J.P. Morgan. You
Oh,
wanted to
Joel.
buy it.
On the whale trade. I wanted it. I would have doubled my money in that. That's
You
Joel.
wanted to buy it at 30, and I think I hold you to. I wanted.
You said, "Oh, you'll get it at 28." I was like, "You're right. I'm cheap. I'll get this at 28."
have to
No.
go to the
Worth
monthlies.
$2
I have to go to the
not
monthlies
play.
to document this one, Joe. Looks how long this guy holds a grudge here. This was back in the middle of 2011, and he won't let it
I
go.
don't forget.
2011.
Like an elephant.
Look at
When
that.
money's at play, man,
All right,
when money's at play.
So
Hey,
Joe,
what about Pandora Media? Because it's trading down $2 here right now. What do you got for Pandora there, Joe?
I'm looking. All right.
I'll give you the earnings here a while. So they did report last night, and they actually reported a loss of 13 cents against estimates of losing 14 cents. Who figured we knew they'd lose money. The sales estimates were a little bit light, but and the stock actually just a couple price target moves here. It's like Credit Suisse raising their price target to $32.
Yeah, 2.8. That's positive. Yeah.
It's positive. So here they
Yep.
are. That's interesting. They're fading this one too. So maybe you're looking for this to bounce back, possibly.
So Joe, you been
Pandora.
getting any feedback, from your customers as far as their results of trading? Do you do any kind of like
Yeah, we track on a daily basis the performance of the universe of stocks that we're selecting. And over the last, if you look open to close over the last 2 years, stocks that the cumulative performance of the portfolio open to close is up 58% versus the S&P on open to close securities as a universe up 18. Stocks that are universe of stocks that are short S scores is down negative 3% versus the S&P 18. So statistically, these stocks outperform, and the Sharpe ratio on that is a 1.92 on the long side and like 0.78 negative on the short side. So the data is statistically significant, but this is a tool for your toolbox. I like the way that you guys talk about the technicals and the fundamentals, and just as a side note, I really enjoy your show. I think it's a very valuable service because you really need to take a mosaic theory on the market and take all the different inputs. But social media, it's a statistically significant one, and the hedge funds our hedge fund clients are really making a killing with this data, and active traders deserve the same type of information.
Okay. All right, Joe. Well, if we don't have anything else coming out of the chat room, I want to thank you for coming on the show. We've had Joe Gits here of Social Market Analytics, President and CEO, giving us a take in the market. He's going to hang out in the chat room for a few minutes here. And
all right, guys.
Thank you, Joe.
Have a great weekend, guys.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Joe.